Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. I'm so excited about today. Today is Nonfiction November. It happens, for my purposes, to be on the day, it's like November 1st starts on the day that I do my videoing. So super duper. And this pile of books I am really so excited about that I didn't even bother getting into my real clothes. These are my morning breakfast clothes, my Jimmy Jannies. So I have one book that I need to read that is fiction. That has to do with my one book club, and it is Summer Water by Sarah Moss. I'm 3 chapters in, and I really don't know what's happening. It seems to be some sort of a caravan park that they have that's up in Scotland. It's pouring rain. We've met 3 different characters. They're all just meh. They're meh with life, and so I don't really know. They all just seem kind of indifferent to what's happening around them, and so they all seem to have the same voice. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyways, it's a short book, which is good, because the pile of nonfiction books here is definitely unreasonable. There's no way I'm going to get through them all. And I didn't choose any of these to meet the prompts that Olive at Book Olive have mentioned. What is there? There's breath. Is that right? Breath, element, secret. I forget what the last one is. Anyways, I'll put it in the doobly-doo. So what I ended up doing is keeping an eye out for nonfiction books over the course of the last 2 years, and came up with a short list, and out of the short list checked to see what was available at the library. And the first one that's available at the library, someone brought to my attention. It's The Lady from the Black Lagoon, Hollywood Monsters and the Lost Legacy of Millicent Patrick. So this is the woman who did a lot of design work for Hollywood's special effects back in the day when there weren't really computers that I know of. Or I think computers belonged to universities and the military. And I gather this is sort of a biography. It's in nonfiction, so there's somewhere in here there's some amount of truth. But you know what? I thought there'd be pictures. There's a little bit of pictures, but so I think this will be somewhere a book where I'm probably going to have to do a bit of Googling just to see if I can catch the images that go along with it. And I think I'm going to start with this book because it's the nonfiction book that was on my list the longest in the last 18 months, and it just seems like a fun start. Okay, The Whisper on the Night Wind, A True History of a Wilderness Legend by Adam Schultz. And why did I pick this up? I don't remember why I picked it up. I think partly because I don't even know. It's from Canadian. Partly that's why. I did ask. That's right. I went into Bookmark and my local store and said, you know, what's a nonfiction book that's Canadian that isn't too scientific because and isn't about cooking lobsters. So this is what they came up with. He's a fairly recent explorer of Canada, and I believe he goes across. No, I have no idea actually, but it just sounded fun at the time. Blue Legacies and Black Feminism by Angela Davis. I picked up last summer and I never got to it. I kept thinking, oh, this will be perfect at the camp. And I just had so much reading going on at the camp that I never got around to it. And oh my God, the printing is small. Anyways, it's an exploration of 4 Black women, song divas, I'm going to call them, Gertrude, Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, and Billie Holiday. And so it's sort of an exploration of both their biographies as well as the impact that their music had on the music world in general. So I think this is one, because it's 4 different females that are being explored. I think what I'm going to do for this one is try and read one chapter, like one person a week, and just break that up so that it doesn't become too heavy. All right, the other one that I picked up that's Canadian and actually quite local, The Tides of Time, A Nova Scotia Book of Seasons by Suzanne Stewart. This is by Pottersfield Press, which is sort of an independent local publisher. And it's set in northeastern Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, and it is a book about contemporary laborers whose harvests mark the rhythms of the seasonal year. There are 12 monthly chapters, each of which tells the story of a labor unique to that month: tuna fishing, orchard farming, and so forth. Again, I just thought it's seasonal to some degree. I think I'll start with October. Yeah, let me just see if it's broken down into month or if it's broken. Yes, it's broken down into months. So January, for instance, is making cheese. So I'll start with October, November, and just work my way around. And again, I think I'll sort of break this up into the 4 weeks of November so that it's... I guess what I'm kind of concerned about is just bulk reading one book, because nonfiction is... especially if the writing isn't good, nonfiction is not my favorite. And sometimes the topic matter is really interesting, but the author can leave you sort of rolling on back and forth on the ground, gripping your hair, going, why did you write about this so poorly? Okay, From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Doherty is a book that I have been avoiding for a long time. Caitlin Doherty has a YouTube channel that I think for some bizarre reason YouTube has taken exception to. So anyhow, she has 3 books out, and this is looking across cultures for how we care for the dead. And Caitlin's YouTube channel is really an interesting exploration of very different types of events related to death and burials. And so I think I mentioned in the past, she talked about why John F. Kennedy's coffin was closed. There's another one about it was the plague. It was the plague in San Francisco, and how the burying, well, at that point, if you were in the low-income part of San Francisco, if you had someone who had the plague or had died of the plague on your premises, you would be shut down. And well, that was a disaster in the poor sections of town. So people were burying victims of the plague under the floorboards. I hope that didn't happen in a grocery store. Anyways, this is one of her 3 books, and I'm really curious about it. My son and his partner have spoken quite highly of this, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. This one I'm ambivalent about. It's called Overdose: The Heartbreak and Hope in Canada's Opioid Crisis by Benjamin Perrin. And I'm going to leave this one for last, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm not sure when it was published. I think it's a fairly new release, but let me just see. 2020, yeah. Okay, so that means it's fairly current. Sometimes what happens with these situations is that something significant will come into play, like maybe a budget increase, and people are helped with their addictions and so on through clinics and whatnot, but which makes the book more historical than current. And this disclaimer: nothing in this book should be construed as providing legal or medical advice. So I think by the looks of it, it's been read several times. There's all kinds of fingerprints in here and coffee stains. Yeah, this has been a popular book, but I'm going to put it for last, partly because in terms of ranking interest, and it's Vancouver, and it's just somewhat less on my radar. And way in the background, I have Braiding Sweetgrass that has been on my pile for more years than I care to talk about. I love her writing, and I'm just can't click. I think, yeah, it doesn't have a click factor. I don't get immersed in it right away. And I think that comes back to something I've spoken before, is that when someone is explaining something of the world, in the world of nature, and it's a very deep personal experience for them, I shy away from that. There's something that is too vulnerable in it, I think. I just like my nonfiction to be somewhat aloof from the individual. So I'm not great with memoir nonfiction of any kind. Like, doesn't really matter what the topic matter is. I like there to be a wall between me and the author. And she is just so lovely and so vulnerable and so, like, you can see the dust bunnies are coming off this book. She's just so honest and forthright. It's painful for me. And she's a mom, and she talks about her daughters, and I haven't figured out what's going on there. Like, that's obviously a me problem. Everybody else loves this book, and maybe it's just because I'm, maybe I'm emotionally crippled. Anyhow, this is going to go last, and I've decided that this is going to go first. Black Lagoon's going to go first, and I wanted to break this one up over the week, so it's kind of first, and this one's kind of first. So I'm going to start with these 3 books, and let's see. Yeah, Black Lagoon, Tides of Time, and Blues Legacies. Yeah, so that'll be my first week's effort. In the meantime, as far as fiction goes, I still don't have a shortage. I've got all these, and I believe more than half of them come from the library. And I'm putting these 2 books away because I know for sure that I'm not going to read them in this month. There's just no hope. And the other one that's kind of in the background for me is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, which is it's a fairly big one. It's part of early December's book club choice for my YA group. And I think, I don't know, I wish what ends up happening because of Christmas, we end up backing things up a bit. So in the month of December, I have 3 book clubs that are all meeting in the same week, I think around the week of the 7th, or, anyway, so that means that trying to read for those book clubs is a bit of a crush, and I don't know. It just makes it pressure filled. I like my book club readings to be a little more relaxed than that. I hope you guys have found 1 or more nonfiction books to bring you into the month of November. And if you haven't, I hope you enjoy my version of reporting. I think I've got something up my sleeve. We'll see what happens. I'll talk to you later. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. Bye-bye for now.